In nature, some of the most precious treasures come out of pressure and danger and discomfort. It takes lots of time and significant pressure to turn wood into coal, and even more to turn coal into diamond. Pearls are made by an irritating piece of grit finding its way inside a clam. And humans apply the same techniques, making gold purer by subjecting it to furnace fires to burn away the impurities. In the Bible, we see God doing the same thing. He is the creator and the curator of nature, and the world around us teaches us his patterns and ways. The leaders of God's people suffer trials and tribulations, exposing their weaknesses and purging their personality problems. Whenever they were afraid, God burnt their fear away. Think of Moses' excuses. Think of a hiding Gideon and a fugitive Jonah. Whenever they made mistakes, they were exposed to intense cleansing. David was pressure washed. Saul's eyes were dazzled, and Isaiah's lips were heat treated. Now we find ourselves in some kind of furnace, and I think we need to ask the question, how am I being challenged and changed? In what way am I being purified? It's a familiar idea, isn't it? The hero of a story has to overcome a challenge to develop an area of their character. Choose, let's say, a Marvel film, a superhero film, and ask yourself, what flaw causes the superhero to lose the first time that he or she faces their enemy? And then do they go on a journey of self-development? Do they learn to work together, to trust others, to face their fears, to be willing to sacrifice before they have a victorious rematch at the end of the film? Imagine that you were Moses, when at the burning bush, God sent him back to Egypt to set his people free. Moses' flaw was that he was afraid. He wasn't confident in God. But it's not surprising, because he had to return to the most powerful man on the planet, who also happened to be the brother that he had grown up with before he fled the country as a murderous fugitive. And he had to ask Pharaoh to give up the entire workforce of a nation that was built on slavery. But Moses went. He experienced unimaginably intense and frightening confrontation with a world superpower. And by doing so, Moses' fear was stripped away. He learnt to be confident in the power of God, and this established him and prepared him to be able to lead God's people through the desert place. Many years later, Gideon is hiding from an invading army, and he too is afraid. God deals with Gideon's fear by dropping him into an impossibly scary situation. He's about to lead an army of just 300 men who are armed only with brass instruments and Tupperware against an army of 135,000 Midianites. Jonah, too, learned a lesson in courage and obedience from an intense situation. If you think that lockdown has been hard, imagine being stuck inside the belly of a fish. We read in the Bible, in Romans chapter 8, we can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance, and endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation. I guess my prayer is that each one of us finds that when we are under pressure, our rough edges are worn smooth. When we are under fire, our impurities are burnt away. When we are irritated, that grit would turn to pearl, that pain would turn to patience, and suffering to hope. Come, Lord Jesus.